What the fuck is going on? What the fuck's up, ladies and gentlemen? Been a little while. I don't know how long since I've done a solo podcast. This one's fucking empty. It's fucking empty. How the hell are you? For real. Tell me right now. Just fucking tell me. No, I'm just kidding. I just got out the motherfucking gym. It was great. You know, man, if everybody could feel just one time how the gym makes me feel, I think everybody would fucking go. And I know Rogan says that. A lot of people say that. But it's a fucking. That's why I started going, to be honest. Because I wanted to see what the fuck people were talking about. I had never stepped foot in a goddamn gym in my fucking life, dude. Before, like, 4 or 5 years ago. And so I hear all these podcasters and scientists and all these motherfuckers talking about exercise, exercise, exercise. I was a fat little pudgy kid. And a little bit before that, or a little bit after that, I was just a skinny person because I lost a bunch of weight, dude. And it's great, like, having muscle and looking big, but it never will equate to the fucking feeling. I need to cover up the time, god damn it. Fuck you. It's never gonna equate to there. It's never gonna equate to the feeling, endorphins you get from your brain, dude. I just feel so relieved and so peaceful. Just and today I meditated at work, dude, and I have never felt more peaceful in my goddamn life. It was weird. It was weird as because I guess I've been slacking a little bit, but I've been trying to meditate at least once a day during the week, and for at least 15 minutes on my first break at work. And sometimes it doesn't really feel like much, but today I locked the fuck in, and I was just all I thought was in, out. That's what I thought for fucking. It was probably more like 13, 14 minutes, but it felt amazing, dude. Like, it's a whole different feeling, like when you meditate. And most people have never experienced that. I know I hadn't before I started looking into spiritual shit. And honestly, if I never did mushrooms or psychedelics, I probably wouldn't even fucking try it. I'd be like, meditation? What are you, fucking stupid? But it's so beneficial to just sit there and you're just focusing on your internal state. And especially when you're like that, you've got some kind of mantra going on, or you're just thinking in and out, you're following your breath. And I've heard this so many times, follow your breath, follow your breath. But I didn't really get it until today, where because today I just felt so at peace after I was done. And it was so amazing. And I want everybody to feel that way. That's why I fucking preach this kind of shit, is because I'm like, I didn't even know these states of being were possible, let alone fucking achievable just by focusing on your fucking breath, dude. And it's always there. You have access to that shit all the time. And I was listening to this book called The Body Keeps Score, and I learned a lot of new things about trauma, a lot of new things about trauma in there, and mindfulness and like being aware of your internal state and your thoughts is super beneficial for traumatized people because um, one part of trauma is compartmentalization and disassociation. You disassociate from your body because what you're feeling is not like anger or sadness or whatever it may be. You don't want to feel those things because it always leads to loss of control. And so you find this certain way of being or existing, I should say, because you're not really being, you're just existing and surviving. You find this certain way of doing that, and you just do that the rest of your life, but it doesn't work all the time. I got scared. It doesn't always work. It doesn't always work to your benefit, especially like if it's alcohol or drugs or something like that, where you're just blunting things, then you're not necessarily working on them. I watched this video that I had posted on my Snapchat. This guy had quit drinking for 1,000 days. So it's a little over 2 years, I think. Hey Siri, what's 365 times two? Yeah, a little over 2 years, like a year, 2.5 years, but probably. But this guy was talking about how with alcohol, especially, but I think it can trail into other substances that there's no. Well, I don't know what I was saying there, but you're more likely to just be in a content situation rather than a situation you've chosen with alcohol, whether it be work or somebody you don't like, or you got to do something you don't like. Anything paired with alcohol or your substance of choice, regardless of what it may be, is going to make that thing better. Like, say you're getting high at work, all right? Work's fucking 100 times better when you're smoking weed at work. It's just, everything is better. You don't mind anything. You're like, oh, only an hour's passed? Okay, I'm still high, so I don't give a fuck. But alcohol, especially because it dulls you down and it shuts your brain down a little bit. And so maybe it's a situation or a person, but you're more likely to just be content with where you're at because you're drinking this alcohol. So, say it's a person and you've been drinking alcohol, doing drugs, doing all this bullshit. Hmm. Hmm. That's kind of interesting. Huh. This might pertain to the relationship that I was stuck on for the longest time, actually. Because if you're doing alcohol and drugs all the time, then you're more likely to be content with a person that you might not necessarily be content with. So, say you're drinking for 40 years with this other person, you guys got married, you had kids, and you guys been drinking together almost every night or at least once a week or whatever it may be. And then you guys decide to quit alcohol together. You might find out that might not even necessarily like this person. And I don't think that's the case with this person that I'm thinking about. I don't think that it wasn't that I don't like her. It's just a lot of the things that we both had in our head just didn't come out till later on. And things that we should have talked about at the beginning of the relationship and things that had would affect a long-term relationship. Like, you should be talking about finances and kids and goals and dreams you guys have or want to see each other, or not necessarily each other, but want to see you two get to in life. And a lot of people at my age don't talk about this kind of stuff. They just jump into relationship after relationship, hoping things are going to work. And that shit scares the fuck out of me, to be honest. Like, before I ever got with Maddie, I've said her name many times. I think I'm getting over it. I think I'm almost over it, to be 100% honest. It doesn't have the same weight in my brain. Doing the podcast and talking to Chance about it, it's really helped me to get over this shit. But what was I thinking? What was I thinking? Give me a second. Oh yeah, it's things that we didn't really talk about any of this shit at the beginning of the relationship, and later it boiled over at the end because I'm a fucking crazy person. I'm not gonna lie. I have a lot of psychotic tendencies. I don't sleep very much. I fucking don't like to sit around and do nothing. I like to be on the move and be active. And I realize now that I was trying to get her to get into my mode of being rather than, well, and she was trying to get me into her mode of being rather than us merging together and becoming one unit. That's what you should look for in a relationship, is to become one unit, I think. And not only that, but towards the end, like, I should say that I saw her as just a perfect being, and for the longest time too. That's why I kept like getting stuck up on it and not being able to get over it. It's because I saw her as this perfect being in my head. But the thing is, nobody's perfect, and I'm far from fucking perfect. Trust me. I'm not dogging on her. I would never disrespect her name or say anything now that would inflict harm on her physically, mentally, or spiritually. But um, the fact that she left me at my lowest. I was at my lowest I've ever been at, and she just dipped on me. And hey, I have plenty to blame too. I'm not putting all the blame on her, but that alone shows me that she's not perfect because she left me at my lowest when things are rocky and we're supposed to. And I put her through the ringer for 2 years, dude. So I'm not blaming her for leaving at all. But the fact, and I needed it, to be honest. I needed to become the person I am now. But the fact that she left me at my lowest just shows that, hey, if shit gets rocky, she's gonna leave, and I don't fuck with that. Like, and if I did the same thing, shit gets rocky, and I left, then I would leave. Like, I would be just the same. And I'm not dogging on her. I want to make that very clear. I'm not dogging on anybody. But my essential point is that I was drugged up and alcoholed up and all these other things. I didn't know how to be with myself. I didn't want to be with myself. I didn't want to hear my own thoughts. I didn't want to hear anybody else's thoughts. I didn't want to hear anything. To be honest, I just wanted to die because it seemed like the easiest option. And I know now, looking back on it, that I've learned a lot. I've learned to be with myself and be at peace. And I don't need substances to blunt myself. I'm actually this Saturday be 3 weeks sober from alcohol. I'm not going back. I know I keep saying this all the time, but I realized that I was just blunting myself. Socially, I would use alcohol, and when I would feel stressed, I would use alcohol. But the thing is, if you're using alcohol to blunt yourself, you're not helping yourself in any way, shape, or form. It's like giving a kid everything they ask for. You think you're helping this kid, and you think you're showing them love. But what about when that kid doesn't know how to wipe their own ass? Or they don't know how to pay bills by themselves? Or they don't know how to do anything really. If you give a kid everything, you help them with everything, and you don't let them develop into an independent person, then that person's going to be dependent. Regardless of how old they are, they're going to be dependent on other people. And you don't want that. Same with alcohol. I was depending on it for social occasions because I am not the most social person. My brain's always telling me, get the fuck out of there. I'm talking to somebody else. No matter, even sometimes with chance, dude. My brain wants me to escape that fucking moment, and I don't know why. It's just some inner monologue that I have in my head that I don't share with other people, and I look like I'm tweaking in my head sometimes because that's what's going on. I'm like, I need to get the fuck out of here. My brain's just like, I need out, I need out, I need out. Because talking to people has just always been scary for me. And same with stress. When I would feel overly stressed from the week or from work, I'd just crack open a beer or I'd drink. And that's not the best way to handle things because one day, like I said, this is another, um, word, another, fuck, what's the word? Example. It's another example of what you're doing to yourself because let's say you quit drinking at 40, you don't know how to talk to people, you don't know how to socialize, you don't know how to deal with stress, you don't know how to do any of this stuff. And I don't want to be that kind of person. Not only that, I don't want to be the kind of person that alcohol turns me into. I'm a loose person already. I'm not too scared about sharing. I'm pretty much an open fucking book. And when you add alcohol to an open book, you can't open a book much more than that, but beyond its biological factors, fucking hitting women up or drinking more or doing stupid shit. It's all kinds of dumbass shit that people do drinking. And I don't want to be a part of that anymore. I don't care what other people do. I know I was like, oh, stop drinking. Oh. But that's just because I didn't want to stop drinking by myself. But now I don't really give a fuck. I see that it's done a lot more harm to me than it's done good. And I was utilizing alcohol like I was utilizing Xanax or any other medication or pill or drug that I'd used in the past to blunt myself. And maybe that has a little to do with maybe that's a little to do with how I was raised with the prescription medications I was on. I was taught that anything that I feel, or well, not necessarily anything, but there's something wrong with me, and to solve that problem, I have to indulge in another substance outside my body because my body cannot. My body. That's what you. That's what they kind of teach you taking medications is that you don't have the tools necessary to deal with what's going on inside you, and maybe you don't. And then maybe this pill or whatever the hell you take is useful. But you need to be learning behavioral skills and mental strengthening practices and physical practices, things like breathing, meditation, exercise, all these things that I've been saying help you to learn that, hey, everything I need is inside myself, and I just need to go work out, or I need to just take a deep breath, just chill the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? And instead of learning that, you're being taught that, hey, I just need to take something, or I just need to go find something, or drink a little bit, or do whatever the fuck you got to do. And that's not necessarily the best way to deal with things. That makes sense. I felt really at peace today, just after that meditation, especially, but I just felt really good about the route I'm on, or the path I'm on, and where I'm headed. I feel really good about it. And I know there's more like bad times to come. There always is. And that's what that's what these good times are for. In the good times, I feel like everybody just give me a second. I feel like everybody looks at good times as, hey, let's fucking party, let's make the good times last, let's make them as good as possible. But I don't see it as that. I see it as, all right, if we look at it like the ocean, there's no waves right now, all right? So let's fucking prepare for when there are. That's the way my brain works. Like working out, meditating, strengthening my immune system, doing all these things that I know I need to do for when shit hits the fan. Because me and Blair were talking about it on the podcast yesterday, that I've been chasing the present moment. And it took me a long time to realize that's what I was chasing. And Maddie actually helped me realize that she would always tell me, just exist, and I never knew what that meant without some kind of substance within my body. And now I understand what the fuck it means, because that's what all spiritual teachings and all practices are pointing to: meditation, yoga, Christianity, Islam, Judaism. They're all pointing to the same fucking thing. They're pointing to the present moment, and everybody's chasing it through, like Blair was talking about, riding fast on his motorcycle, or um, substances, or sex, or drugs, or gambling. It's all just trying to get to the present moment, because our brain's always trying to throw us out of it. It's always trying to put us in the past or put us in the future. Oh, what am I going to do here? Oh, what the hell happened there? None of that matters. Our brain needs time to operate and to think, because we need past and future to put things and categorize them in our fucking monkey brain computer. But at the end of the day, it's just I look at the brain and the memory and anxiety as help to figure things out. That's all it is to me. Because if like something's bothering me that I've done, or something in the future is bothering me and I'm thinking about it a lot, I look at it as my brain's way of processing things. Okay, and the negative emotions, the positive emotions, whatever emotions you feel from it, come with that. That's part of it. We look at it as, oh, I get this thought and I feel bad because of it. No, you feel bad with the thought. It's not because of the thought, it's with the thought. You get a thought, and with that comes this emotion. And proper through proper processing and figuring things out mentally and physically and spiritually, you will find a solution to this. And if there is no solution at the time, why are you even worrying about it? Like, if you gotta fucking change your oil tomorrow and you're getting a little anxious about it, or why are you even worrying about it? That's not even right now. And that's essentially what all the spiritual teachings are pointing to: is that, is there a problem right now? Like, seriously, right now, at this fucking second, is there a problem? No. So why the fuck are we making a problem? That's another thing our brain does. It makes problems out of things that are not necessarily a problem. Like when me and Chance were talking on the podcast about when I tweaked out that one morning for no reason. It's because my brain was making a problem out of something that there was no problem. There's never a problem. Yes, maybe some things go down. It just is what is. That's what all That's what, if you read The Power of Now, that's what it talks about. We're denying what is. That's what our brain's good at. Denying what is and trying to be somewhere, do something that it's not doing currently. And that's what's got us to this point, right? Somebody had to envision an iPhone with basic components and parts to be able to, or a computer, I should say, to be able to get the first computer. You had to envision, oh, these parts can go together into this and that and this to be able to fucking make something like this. And you use past and future thinking in the present moment for that. And that's the hardest part about being traumatized, is getting your brain to focus back on the present moment, because the present moment, it's that's what I look at all mental disorders as. And if you read Dr. Gabor Mate's book, The Myth of Normal, that's what all of them talk about, is that, wait, that's what it'll tell you, is that when you're traumatized, the present moment, in that whenever you were dealing with that problem, like maybe got neglected or molested or raped or whatever the fuck happened to you, okay? In that moment, your brain does not want to be there. And so it throws you out of it, and you fucking don't want to think about that, so you just keep moving till one day that shit hits you and you don't know what the fuck to do anymore, because you can't just keep moving. And maybe you're in a depression because your brain keeps thinking about that moment. But that's how you regain some peace of mind, is to becoming present and finding your way back to this moment. Because, and that's what that book, I'm gonna go piss actually, because I can't think while I gotta piss. I'll be right back. All right, I'm grabbing a hoodie. It's cold. But when you gotta piss, it's like fucking squatting 3 times your body weight, and then when you start pissing, it's like you're putting that weight down. You're like, oh, relief and peace, thank God. But what I was talking about is the Body Keep Score talks about that. Is that when you're traumatized, your body and your brain starts to fragment things, and you can't see the difference. Well, actually, that's what me and Chance were talking about. That we're talking about that. Like, we have the right side is creativity, all that other shit. Left side's logic. So if you are traumatized, what happens is the right side gets shut down, because, and then you get stuck in these modes of thinking like depression and super anxiety and all that shit, because you don't have the creativity to see your way out of it. Because what happens when you're traumatized is your your picture of the reality starts to fragment. Like a lot of women who talk about getting raped, especially like incestual rape. Sorry if it's it is a heavy topic. Trust me. I was listening to the fucking book and they were talking about shit like that, bruh. It's heavy. It gets heavy. Sometimes I gotta pause the book for like the rest of the day or a couple hours. I gotta fucking take a second, because some of these books get heavy as shit. But for example, like with fathers that do fucking dirty, nasty ass shit to their fucking daughters, what happens in the female's brain, or that daughter's brain, is it starts to fragment, because your dad is your caretaker and somebody who's supposed to love you, and you don't want to like look at them as the bad person, but then they're doing this bad thing to you, and so you fragment and you look at this as a separate event, and then there's your dad and these other separate events. And what happens when you start to get older is you get stuck in these fragmented pieces, because your brain doesn't have the creativity to look at it and go, this was me then, or this was me then, and this is me now. So you get stuck. And that's where mindfulness comes in, and meditation and exercise helps, because what fragments also is your emotion. You don't want to feel your emotions, because that leads to a loss of control, or a lot of people disassociate from their body completely, especially when things like that go down, because your body brings your body and emotions bring you discomfort, and so you don't want to feel them, and so you stop feeling them. But the thing is, that's why The Body Keeps Score is such an awesome book, is because it talks about how, and epigenetics and all these things talk about it as well. A lot of modern science is starting to talk about this, that the body holds on to all that shit. And even if you aren't feeling it, it turns into stress, or it turns into Dr. Gabor Mate's The Myth of Normal talks about this as well, that it starts to turn into other things like mental disorders or physical disorders like arthritis can come from trauma. There's a lot of things that can come from trauma. And it started to make me think about things in my own life, like my nieces and nephews and myself and my sister and my brother-in-law and just everybody. It makes me think about everybody and how a lot of things that might have traumatized them, that they might not necessarily know that it's trauma. They just look at it as something that's happened to them and it makes them feel a certain way, but they don't look at it as traumatizing in itself. And that's where exercise comes in, by the way, is you start to feel your body again. You have to. Because if you don't find, and I have a problem with this myself. I can't bench correctly. Like, I do it, obviously. My chest is pumped up and I had a good chest workout. I know when I've pumped my chest enough, but my problem is that my upper and lower half don't like to communicate well. And so I'm benching with basically my whole upper body rather than my whole body itself. And I'm getting better at it, I won't lie. But breathing was another thing. I didn't know you had to breathe. When like I wasn't paying attention to my breathing for the longest time, and I got hemorrhoids when I first started working out because I would be squatting and holding my breath like, and I just fucking hold my breath the whole time rather than breathing in and breathing out. And that's why I like The Body Keeps Score, because it talks about these things and it talks about ways of getting out of it. And mindfulness and meditation help with that, because you start to look at your thoughts and when, especially when you're focused on your breath, because you watch all the crazy shit your brain does and all the thoughts that come in. And the thing is, if we controlled our brain, I've said this, if you control your brain, if we controlled our brain to 100%, then we'd just be able to tell it what to do and turn things off and turn things on. We don't have that kind of control over our minds that we think we do. Really, I thought about it today because I had this weird dream last night about this chick I used to fucking mess around with, to be honest. But I had a dream about it last night, and I don't dream very often. I don't sleep very well most of the time, and I've said that. But dreaming is another way of your brain to process. You go into a different state when you're dreaming, and it allows your brain to process things. And that's what I've started to look at dreams as too, because they used to make me super uncomfortable, or my whole day was fucked up by these certain dreams. But um, what was I talking about with that? Hold on. I think that's my point, is that I start looking at it as processing. And I had this dream last night that I had to process. And oh yeah, I remember. So I started to think about that today on lunch, and I started to think about how it's like our brain is like the oldest computer on planet Earth, all right? Like, compared to a smartphone or a other computer, it's dog shit, all right? But it still works and it does us extremely well when it's used properly. But the thing is, the processing, people want it to be instant, like our phones, you know? Like, I look at it as like our brain is like, you know how the computer needs to load? Our brain is like the slowest loading computer ever. like like that's what these dreams are, and things that make us uncomfortable and traumatic experiences. That's why it takes so fucking long. And that's what psychedelics and meditation and all these other things can help with, is speeding up the processing power. But with a normal fucked up brain like I have, it's like the slowest loading computer ever. And you get like a thought like a couple months later or a couple weeks later, however long it may be, and you're like, why the fuck is that popping up in my head? And it's because your brain still has that in there. It's still running these fucking diagnostics and trying to fucking put this shit into place. And it's taken so goddamn long To us, at least, it takes long because that's what the brain needs to process. It needs time. But in reality, it's always the present moment. Another example of that is animals and plants. They don't have the prefrontal cortex that we have. Maybe they have the ability to plan and the ability to look into the past and future, but I feel like they're a lot more present than we are. They don't have the nonsense that we deal with in our heads. And like anxiety and depression, and maybe they have it to an extent, but they don't get stuck in it. I think humans are the only beings to get stuck in it. And maybe that's because we've set up the environment to get stuck in it. Like, if I wanted to sit on the couch and be depressed all goddamn day, I could. But like another intelligent or sentient creature like a dolphin or an octopus, they don't have the time for all that shit. Even if something is fucking with them, they gotta keep moving. And they know that it's gonna fucking process and it's gonna be gone. You know what I'm saying? Um, Another cool thing I learned from this Body Keeps a Score book is that, and I didn't know this, but it's pretty fucking cool to know. Animals, and I think to an extent kids also, but animals, it talks about in the book, are a good like processing tool for trauma. Like being around animals and being able to love and hug them, because especially for people who have a distrust of people and like have a hard time like making relationships and sustaining them, because and I'm one of those people. I don't trust many people. I trust my dad, I trust my sister, my brother-in-law and their kids. I trust my animals, my dad's animals, their animals. I trust Chance, Adam, Blair, but not many fucking people I fucking trust 100% fully. Also, by the way, I hope that Blair pod yesterday was good, because I was high as fuck, dude. I didn't want to say it on the podcast, but I was fucking high as shit, dude. Like, Blair started to look weird and shit. I was so goddamn high. That's why I was fucking. That's why I ended it so quick. I wanted to do another hour with Blair, but I got scared. I was so scared, dude. I was scared for a long time after that, dude. I was scared the whole time. I was scared fucking getting home. I was just terrified. I think that's good for a person like me. And that usually, not usually, but that used to never happen, to be honest. Now that I'm thinking about it, when I was a kid, I never got scared off weed. It just made me feel good and I had a good time. But I'm glad I get scared off it now because my ego needs it. Like, I'm a pretty confident person and I don't get like down very often. And so getting scared like that, Joe Rogan talks about that. I think that's why I like psychedelics too, is because getting scared like that is super beneficial, because it makes me realize I'm not hot shit. Like, I walk around, I don't like think that way anymore, but I know I still have the same confidence as if I do. I'm not cocky, I'm conceited. Or I'm not conceited, I'm confident. That's the word. I'm confident, not conceited. It's a fucking lyric. It's a verse in They Don't Know by Chris Webby. Listen to that song. I'm confident, not conceited. It means I'm not overly involved in myself anymore, but I still have that confidence. I'm still confident in what I can do and who I am. I love myself, man. And that's the first step to healing yourself, really. You have to love yourself. And if you don't love yourself, you got to figure out how to, because how the hell are you going to love anything else or anybody else? Or you can't love if you don't love yourself. You have to start with yourself and work outward. And I've learned that over time, because I was trying to fix my like everything around me before fixing myself. And I've realized, especially with Chance, that Body Keeps a Score book also was talking about how you need like an anchor or a leader, not a leader, but a guidance or an anchor. You need guidance or an anchor when you have trauma and you're trying to work through it. And it made me realize that Chance was my guidance or my anchor to reality. Like, I could spit my nonsense and my fucking trauma back to him, and he'd spit it back to me, or give me his emotional take or whatever the hell he did. But he helped me work through it a lot, and he was my like teacher. Because Chance already went through all this shit. He dealt with this shit at a very young age, and I'm very lucky and appreciative to have him as a friend, because he didn't have anybody when he was doing it, and he had to figure all this shit out himself. And he tells me that all the time, that uh, that he had to do this shit by himself, and I don't know what the fuck I'd do. We talked about the other day, what would happen if I just moved in by myself without moving in with him first. So I've been thinking about getting a place by myself now, or a place with Blair, one of the two. But um, if I just moved in by myself, I'd probably be dead, or I would not be doing what I'm doing, dude. To be 100% honest, because I have had a problem with substances my entire life, pharmaceutical substances and then street substances. But and I've been getting better with that. Not just alcohol, but I don't smoke as much as I used to. Zins are probably my biggest issue right now. I pop those bitches in like one after another. I won't lie. Like I did an hour at the gym, hour and a couple minutes, maybe like hour 10, hour 20 at the gym with no Zin, dude, and I start tweaking. I don't like tweak, but I can feel it in my brain that hey, I want to fucking Zin, and I start getting more distracted because the Zin's like a pacifier. It just gives me focus. Like even if it's not the nicotine, it's like in there. It's in my lip, and I know it's there. I taste the wintergreen. I'm gonna pop another one to be honest. I like the wintergreen flavor. I'm a fucking sucker for Zins, but besides nicotine, which I think nicotine is the hardest fucking substance to kick ever because it's so available, it's so easy. You could do it really anywhere, especially if you have Zins or a vape. And I've quit Xanax, I've quit ecstasy, I've quit smoking weed so much, I've quit alcohol a bunch of times. I've quit nicotine once, and I've tried quitting it many, many, many more times than that. And I'm gonna quit it eventually. At some point in my life, I will quit nicotine. I have to swear that to myself and promise myself that because I don't want my kids to fall down this same path. What I was thinking at work the other day, I want my kids to be like, what do you want in your kids? And I know most people my age don't think about this unless they have kids, but even then they're probably not thinking about it because I think like 20 years in the future. Like what do I want my kids to be? If they're my age, they're 21, what do I want my kid to look like? I want them to be moral and just, where they're fair and they have this strong moral code that leads them in the right direction. I want them to believe in something higher than themselves, whether that be something spiritual or nature itself. I want them to believe that, hey, you can be confident and you can love yourself, but do not think you are above everything, okay? Because I used to think that way. Yeah, and I want my kid to be respectful, and I want them to be intelligent, and I want them to be loving and caring, and regardless of the gender, man or woman, I want them to be upstanding people of society. And I'm gonna spend a lot of that's why I've been spending so much fucking time on myself. Because listen, if you're having a kid right now at my age, I am fucking praying for you because that is hard. You chose hard mode, brother or sister, whatever the fuck you are. You chose hard mode. And it's gonna be hard mode regardless having a kid, but don't you think you should have taken like 5, 10 years at least to prepare yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually, educating yourself, figuring out what the human body needs to fucking be in its best state, figuring out what the mind needs to be in its best state, because that's going to translate to your children. And if you're not working on yourself and trying to, because kids learn by watching, and we literally have mirror neurons. You can look this up. We have mirror neurons to where even if we don't do something and we watch somebody do something, that should activate shit in our brain because we're watching somebody else do something and then we're doing it if you even if you don't do it yourself, you're still learning how to do it. That's what mirror neurons are for. Monkeys have them. And that's how kids learn is mirror neurons. And if you're I hate this fucking saying, but I heard it as a kid and people I hear it still to this day, do as I say, not as I do. But that's not how kids fucking learn. Kids learn by example. So if you're not setting the example you want them to achieve, if you're not setting the expectation, hey, this is how we do it, they're not going to fucking listen to you. If you're like, hey, don't be like, for example, for me, don't use Zins, but then I'm popping Zins every fucking hour on the hour, then what the fuck? Why would they listen to me about anything really? Because if I'm wrong about Zins, oh, Zins are great. Why not? And I'm not saying I don't want my kids to use substances like psychedelics and weed and nicotine, but I want them to develop their brain to a point first. I don't think I want my kid to smoke or use psychedelics or nicotine until they're at least 18. I want them to have that development in there. Um, Psychedelics mainly, probably at 18, but nicotine maybe 25. And obviously, this isn't going to be my choice because they're going to be their own independent people. That's another problem parents have is they start to look at their kids as extensions of themselves. That's why people name their kids juniors and shit like that. But they're not you. They're not an extension of you. Maybe for a little while, but at a certain point, they become their own people. They're their own thing now. And yeah, you may have imprinted on them. They may have been born from you, but that has nothing to do with you now. And that's why I think those first 10 to 20 years are so crucial in brain development and nervous system development, and so that you are not fucking like you're not sending a wild ass child that you didn't even fucking structure into this crazy ass world. The world's fucking nuts, and it's never gonna not be nuts. There's always crazy ass shit going on. It's how it's been throughout history, dude. It's gotten a little more calm now, but it's about to fucking gear back up now with AI and Neuralink and gene editing and all the things that are about to happen with our species. And so you need to fucking structure them and teach them critical thinking and mental maturity, and you need to fucking structure them. And I think about this constantly. And that's why I don't fuck around really anymore. My body counts 10. I won't fucking lie. 10 or 11, one of the two. I lost track, to be honest. I know it's 10 or 11 though. And one really meant something to me, the first one. But the other 9 or 10 were just a waste of my fucking time. Like, and that's to put it respectfully to all the women that I was with. But it was a waste of my time because all of them were not motherly material. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for some girlfriend, dude. That's a waste of my fucking time. Somebody that I could just be with for 10 fucking 5, 10 years and then just fucking dispose of. That's not what I'm after. That's why I stay by myself and I don't fucking rush into things, and I watch people for a considerable amount of time because I'm looking for a wife and a mother. And that's what everybody my age should be looking for. Man or woman, you should be looking for a wife or a husband, father or a mother in the person that you're trying to be with. And if that they don't share that, if they don't um, show those qualities, then you shouldn't be trying to fucking start a relationship with them. They're not mentally mature enough to handle that kind of thing. Because if you're really looking at this shit long term, having children, becoming a family unit should be one of the strongest fucking bonds that ever fucking exists on planet Earth, in my opinion. And that's what I want for my family at least. But uh, you really should be, and that starts with your wife or your husband. That starts with your significant other that you're fucking having those children with. That starts with your guys' connection and relationship. That's why I said you should be talking about finances. You should be talking about um, raising children, where you guys see yourself when you're retiring, all this shit. If you're not looking at long-term goals and um, long-term thing, like long-term planning, essentially, if you're not looking at this stuff for your significant other and you, then that relationship, I mean, maybe if you fucking pray hard enough, maybe it'll last, but I don't think so. And that's basically what I was doing, fucking around so much. Listen, the reason my body count's so high, and I know 10 or 11 isn't really that high in my generation, but to me that's pretty high. Um, Adam, I'm pretty sure, has 3, and I think I admire him for that. He doesn't fuck around at all. The reason I started fucking around, I was a little nerd, dude. Don't Women weren't even hitting me up. I had to add them. It was like I was on an island by myself, and I wasn't getting no women in my fucking court, dude. There was nothing happening. But then, as I matured and I get to where I am now, women started hitting me up, and that fucked with my head for a while because I thought I was hot shit from that, and then like you learn that you're not. And over time, I've realized that I was just wasting my time. And what's crazy is the first one was memes. Maddie, I got with meme. I don't know how. It's a miracle that I lost my fucking virginity, to be honest. Because I'm still a nerd, dude. I have no social skills. I just fucking kissed a girl one time with no alcohol, and that was a huge fucking that was a huge victory for me. But um, Maddie was memes, and then the other 9 or 10 was fucking alcohol, dude. So it wasn't even a solid connection with these people. I was just fucking being an idiot and wanting to fuck somebody or something. And if you were talking trannies, I didn't fuck a tranny. I just got my dick sucked. Okay, don't judge me for it. I was drunk. I knew what I was doing, obviously, but I was also horny. Shit happens, man. I know I'm not gay. I've fucking spent a lot of time. I think you should question everything. Question everything. Question your sexuality. Question who you want to be as a person. Question where you want to be in life. I think you should question everything. Psychedelics helped me realize that as well. But um, I've made some mistakes, man. Done some things I'm not proud of. Been with some people I'm not proud of. But shit happens, you know. And I pride myself on being open and honest. Even if it makes me feel very uncomfortable to talk about certain things, I want to be an open book and I want to inspire other people to be the same way. Find who you truly want to be and find what makes you happy, what makes you genuinely happy. I'm not talking about just happiness in the emotional sense because happiness comes and goes. You have to find things that are going to make you happy long term. You think my nerdy ass is fucking happy working out? I mean, I love it and I've learned to love it, but when I first started, dude, I fucking hated it. I hated going to the gym, but I forced myself to because I knew it was beneficial for me long term. Now I have muscle and I take care of myself pretty well, I think, but I used to hate it. You have to look at things long term. Yeah, you may hate it now, like saving money. I'm getting better at it. I'm getting really good at it, to be honest. I don't have, and me and Blair talked about it yesterday. I'm not like rolling in the dough, but it used to be where I spent every fucking dollar I had. From 14 to maybe the beginning of this year, I was spending every fucking dollar I had, dude. Every single dollar I had. Change, fucking pennies. If I could scrounge up a fucking decent amount of fucking change, I'd be going to get something. And I'm glad I don't do that anymore because long term, that's not fucking gonna pay off. Like, even if I get like $1 million, a lot of people have proved this. A lot of people who have won the lottery prove this that uh, you get you get a lot of money if you don't change your habits. People are fucking texting me, "Shut up." It's my family. I love them, but goddamn, shut up. I'm trying to focus. um, if you're not changing your habits on spending money, what makes you think you're going to hold on to $1 million or 2 million or 3 million? Shut the fuck up, dude. Jesus. I don't want to fucking. It's annoying. It's so annoying. Let's see if I can move this over. Boom. A little more. There we go. Now I can't see it. Good. I hate group chats, dude. I hate them. Whoever's idea what it was that fucking make group chats, fuck you, because that's dumb. But what was I talking about? Oh yeah, not everything in life is gonna be sweet. Now I've said that before when I was in grumpy moods, grumpy Cody, but I mean it. Like you gotta pick things that may not necessarily be great for you right now, like saving money and being frugal, or um, planning for your retirement. Maybe you got to change yourself in certain aspects when you find the right person. I'm not saying change the core of who you are, but if you got tendencies like I used to, like being aggressive, being angry, um, not knowing how to deal with my own mind and body, and just existing, I didn't know how to do any of that. You're gonna have to change certain aspects of yourself, And a lot of people don't like that either. They think that they're going to be the same forever. And when people talk about selling your soul, you're supposed to fucking just be the same thing you're always going to be, or you've been since you came into this world. But that's not how it fucking works. That's not how anything works. You have to change who you are, and that's part of life, is adapting. That's what all these mental issues and trauma and all this nonsense is it's adaptations. We look at it as solid things like, oh, I have PTSD now, I have ADHD now, I have this or that. But it's just adaptations that we needed a long ago, or maybe we need them now. And that's why we develop these certain issues. But it's your body adapting and your mind adapting to certain situations. And it's proved with epigenetics and things like that, that our genes change to our environment. It's not as simple as that's what I like. That's one of my favorite things that I learned about trauma is it's not just mental. Your whole fucking physiology changes because of the things that happen to you. That's what epigenetics is. And it gets passed down. Genes get passed down to your children. And so if you're not fixing these things in yourself and you're not learning how to deal with yourself, then fucking hate that I'm in this group chat. I'm about to fuck. I thought I muted it. Why the fuck am I getting these group chats? I did. Why the fuck am I seeing them? Hold on. Feel myself getting angry. I gotta calm down. Fucking annoying though. Why do you gotta message in the group chat just to tell me stupid shit? I don't care. I don't care. I saw a quote today that said, sit around the table with people that talk about God, universe, goals, improvement, not people. Most people are wasting their fucking time uh, comparing themselves or being jealous or envious of other people. Who gives a shit what other people are doing, brother? Do what you got to do. What are your goals? What are your dreams? What are you trying to accomplish in this life? Figure that fucking shit out. Quit wasting your fucking time trying to be like everybody else. This guy came up to me at work one day and he always tries to say how jealous I am of him. I'm not jealous of you, buddy. I'm like, why would I be jealous of you? I don't compare I tell him, I'm like, don't compare yourself to me and I don't compare myself to you. Compare yourself to who the fuck you were yesterday. If you're improving from that person, great. That's all you need to fucking know. 1% every day. I heard that too. 1% every fucking day. You need to improve 1% every day because by the end of the year, that's 365% that you just fucking improved that you did not have the previous year. Okay? It's compound growth. That's what Atomic Habits, the book is about, is just little things that build into these giant things. That's essentially what I'm saying. You don't want short-term gratification and short-term happiness right now. Like, I think that our teens and 20s and early 30s are meant to suffer. That's what the fuck we're supposed to do. Not necessarily to where you're in agony and you fucking hate your life, but you have to make a shit ton of sacrifices so that later on you are chilling and your kids aren't carrying the burden of all the things that you fucking didn't set out to do. You know what I'm saying? Let's see where we're at. 54. I think I can end this thing. I love you guys. Bye.